something as we were talking about this gender and this race gap, this wage gap, that really got everybody. It, she struck a nerve,
Yes.
Bedalia.
Yes.
She struck a nerve. The imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome. What is that? Do you ever feel like, when we get awards, and I've been guilty of this, and we want to give them away, and sometimes I felt like the imposter, like I don't really belong here. There's someone who can do this better, whatever it is that I'm doing. And unconsciously, the culture passes that along to you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the women in your family, your mom might even do it
Mm-hmm.
because oppression works that way. So we're not saying that the wage gap is your fault. No, 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 no. It takes 20 months for a black woman of a similar skill set to make what a white man has made in 12 months. 20 months. That, over time, over a 40-year work period, can add up to about $1 million, Bedalia.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Lady B, think about that. But guess what? For Latina women, we have August 22nd as Black Women's Pay Equity Day.
Mm-hmm.
For Latina women, it's November 20th. It takes Latina women 11 months to make what a white man has made in 12. 11. So we got to talk about that today. Got to talk about that. White women are doing better, but they're not. It's still not right. They're making
Right.
79 cents on the dollar. That is not working for all of us, for all women of every color, of every background, and in black women in particular, we are the sole breadwinners for our households. I mean, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to talk about that today and talk about the things that we can do to self sabotage, the things that we do that, I don't want to ask for the raise, or I'm looking
Yeah.
around, I'm doing the job that everybody else is doing, but I'm not going to ask because I don't want to rock the boat. No, that's not going to work. So we got to talk about the self sabotage and then the institutional sabotage. All things are on the table today on the Santita Jackson Show. And these issues, you are, instead of arguing about a candidate, you need to be arguing about your position. Forget personality, get to policy. President Trump, the Republicans are running, and yes, there are Republicans running, and all Democrats ought to speak to the gender and wage, the gender wage gap, and the race wage gap, and where they intersect. It takes black women 8 months, 20 months to make what a white man makes.
Mm.
Similar skill sets. It takes a Latina woman 11 months. Got to talk about that today, and that should be front of mind. And no one has talked about that, but we're not making it an issue. And and this is not an issue that women just need to. Women should make this an issue, but men should make this an issue. This is
Yeah.
just unfair. It's unfair, and it is. It's hurting us. It's hurting us. It's hurting us. So, uh, 1-773-763-9278, 773 WCPT. Before I run to these headlines, Lady B, how you doing? Did you watch Power last night?
No.
You didn't? Do you
Mm-mm.
ever? Did you watch it? No.
I didn't. I've been catching up. I'm on the fifth
Oh,
season.
I won't say anything. Well, look, the spoilers out there, but I did actually catch it.
Okay.
I mean, and I was late to it.
Okay.
It took me. I love House of Cards, and I am too upset that it's no longer running. I mean, they, after Kevin Spacey's
Right.
troubles, they just abbreviated it. I just that show, the British version and the American version, best television show I've ever seen.
And I'm trying to catch up on that too.
Oh,
I'm on the third season of
oh,
that.
it will not disappoint.
Okay.
It is just great. It really is great. But Power was great too, but it was just, kind of depressing. Um, and I felt that the end that they came up with, I thought that was going to happen, but it made me very sad. But you know what? I think there's another something for us to talk about. The role of women. Women really, we shape the culture. We shape the culture in our homes. And Denzel Washington's wife was her mother. Apparently, the night before she married, her mother asked her. I saw her in an interview. His wife is a renowned artist herself, and she said, "Honey, are you ready for this?" And he said, she said, "Well, what do you mean? Are you ready to get married?" And he said, "Well, Mom, what are you trying to say to me?" She said, "Look, A good woman can make a bad man good, and a bad woman can make a good man bad. All this falls on you. And my mother raised me that way too. Women, the influence that we have. And you saw the influence that women you saw a man really trying to move into so-called legitimate life, but his wife didn't want to go there.
Mm.
And that's saying a whole lot. So we got a lot to talk about, everybody, just in coming days. Because, to me, all of this is political. And it's all good for a conversation. How about that? And yes, I'm wearing my hat today. My hair is wet under here, but you all like my hat? Likey. When I got in here, Cortez and Bedalia liked it.
I love it.
But Cortez said the old lady looks okay today. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And of course, we got Dr. Brenda Wade and C.K. Hoffler, attorney C.K. Hoffler, to help lead this discussion, and Aaron Connely and McCabe Tucker, one of my classmates. But Maria, we want you to call in. So, Maria, we need you. We've been looking for you all weekend because no one has your number. And Chaparral, too, really, because we want to have a well-rounded discussion about this gender wage gap. It's too vast, and we're not expected to close it for decades. And 38 states have ratified now the Equal Rights Amendment, but because of a time issue, because it's run out in terms of time, they might not ratify it. Ratify it already.
Mm-hmm.
Ratify it already. You mean to tell me you're going to push back on the Equal Rights Amendment for women? I'm not feeling that at all. Oh, so me, I'm trying to talk about it today. So, and did you know that 46% of men think that the gender pay gap is made up to serve political purpose?
I believe it.
They think it's a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Just about almost half of men. I'm like, really? Do you really think that we're kidding about this thing here? Oh, wow. 46%. Well, with 2 days to go until the primary, new polling finds in that New Hampshire voters see Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders as most electable against President Trump. It was a CNN survey taken by the University of New Hampshire Survey Center between February 4th and 7th. And out of the 715 adults surveyed, 29% of the voters in the state said they believed Sanders could win in November, compared with 25% for Vice President Biden. What do you think about that? Oh, wow. And Chris Matthews from MSNBC has been slammed for spreading misinformation about Sanders' Democratic Socialist agenda. It's very interesting. Bernie Sanders said, look, socialism, okay, give me that. But he said President Trump believes in socialism too. He said, I just believe in giving resources, sharing resources with workers. He believes in sharing resources, public resources, with the rich. How about that, Lady B?
Mm-hmm.
I heard him on that. Wow, and did you see that they escorted Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman out of the White House? You got to get the visuals on that. That is such a profound insult. They literally escorted him out as if he were a criminal. Wow, Sanders and Buttigieg are clashing, aiming for a two-person race, and the Sanders campaign has asked for a partial recanvass of the results. Wow, that's right, because there is still some confusion and discrepancy about how they counted the delegate votes, and it turns out the delegates, uh, he and Sanders and Buttigieg split 12 to 13. But Sanders got more than 6,000, got 6,000 plus more popular votes. Did you know that? He won by that wide a margin. 6,000 plus more votes.
Mm.
So I don't know how he walked out of there, Buttigieg saying that he had won, because it really wasn't. Oh, but then Hillary Clinton is sitting at home, and someone else who lost by 3 million votes is sitting in the White House. So should that be part of my headlines? I guess not. Oh, wow. Okay. Sheldon Adelson, casino owner, will donate $100 million to the Trump campaign and to Republicans. Wow. And now Democratic voters, according to this Daily Beast article, are wondering if Vice President Biden has too much baggage after these Ukraine smears. What do you think about that? Do you think that Ukraine has had an impact on his campaign? Yeah,
Yeah.
it has.
Yeah.
It has. That's right. And for people who might have been worried about Governor Romney, well, now Senator Romney out of Utah, there is an interesting article out of NBC News. It turns out that while he's been vilified by President Trump, and his allies for voting to convict the president on one count, he is finding a lot of respect back at home in Utah. Well, that's refreshing. I'm glad this. They said he's a Judas to some Republicans, but not in Utah. That's the New York Times and NBC News reporting that. And you've heard me talk about Marielle Franco,
Mm-hmm.
the Brazilian activist, very, very progressive and a real woman of the people. And she was killed sitting in her car in Brazil just a few months ago. Well, it turns out a right wing hitman has been connected to her death, and he was killed. And this man had ties to the sitting president, Bolsonaro. Wow, the spread of the coronavirus outside China, according to the World Health Organization, could be just the tip of the iceberg. And the death toll for the coronavirus has surpassed 900. Did you know last week it was 65 degrees in Antarctica?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Kobe Bryant was remembered at the Oscars.
Yes.
Yay for him. He
Yes.
won just 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Golly. But he was, and then Spike Lee wore a purple and gold suit looking like a man of Omega Sci Fi. God bless you, Kobe Bryant. God bless you. His memorial service will be in Los Angeles on February 24th. And Parasite, of course, made Oscar history as the first foreign language winner of Best Picture. I have to tell you, I didn't watch them, but I did go and look up uh, Joaquin Phoenix's remarks. And I just have a lot of admiration for him. I think he's a brilliant actor, as was his brother River. You know, you remember
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yes.
We can never forget him, those of us who are of a certain age. He was a brilliant actor, too. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what he said. I want to give you an excerpt of his remarks. I think we've become very disconnected from the world, from the natural world. Many of us are guilty of an egocentric worldview, and we believe that we're the center of the universe. We go into the natural world and we plunder it for its resources. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, steal her baby, even though her cries are unmistakable. Then we take her milk that's intended for her calf, and we put it in our coffee and our cereal. And then he closed his remarks with a lyric written by his brother River, the brilliant actor who died so many years ago. Quote,
Mm-hmm.
run to the rescue with love and peace will follow. God bless you. Oh boy. And then Matthew Cherry, Chicago's own, former NFL player, he won his Oscar for Hair Love, celebrating
Right.
black hair. Oh, I am so happy for him. He accepted the award alongside the co-producer Karen Rupert Tolliver. And oh my gosh, he said, I want to say Hair Love was done to normalize black hair. And he
Mm-hmm.
brought as his special guest DeAndre Arnold, the Texas high school student who's been suspended for wearing
Yep.
dreadlocks. God bless you, Matthew Cherry. Now, see,
Yes.
he's someone I'd want to interview. We're going to have to try and
Yes.
find him because I am so, so, so happy. So happy for him. The 76ers defeated the Chicago Bulls 118 to 111 as we go into this All-Star week, the party. That's right. 8 p.m. at the United Club over at the Soldier Field. Shaquille O'Neal, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Judge Greg Mathis. Yes, okay, I said
Yes.
it. And Isaiah Thomas, Dave Bing, Hall of Famers all. And of course, we're going to have Ducky Fresh for all you old schoolers out there. It's going to be fantastic.
Yes.
So call 1-888 503 6631. 1-888 503 6631. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be great. It's going to start at 8 p.m. and Lady B and I are going to be there ready and waiting. The Jets defeated the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. Wow. And today it's going to be cloudy, 28 degrees with a bit of wind. And you can hear the raspiness in my voice, a little chilled. Everybody, what about this gender and wage gap? Why is it that it takes black women 20 months to make what a white man of similar skills has made in 12 months? Latinas, it takes them 23 months. How does this happen? Why is this happening? And why is this not an issue? Why are we not really talking about this in the 2020 campaign? Women need to talk about this. Women, you have a woman who you elected to be president. Now,
Mm-hmm.
white women did not, but women of color voted for Hillary. Black women, more than 95% of us saw what was coming, and we voted for Hillary Clinton. And so a woman wins a popular vote and she doesn't get in. Okay, I understand the rules, but they're wrong. We're working harder than ever before, and we're not making the money that we need. So when we go to the hospital like you did, Lady B, and they're trying to see if you're having a heart attack or a stroke, because you've had that already.
Mm-hmm.
You've already done that. In our heat wave, guess what? After several hours of tests, and I bring this up all the time, but I want you to think about this. They walked into the room while she was still in her hospital gown, and they asked her if she was prepared to pay $350 in copay so that they could. They didn't say so that they can continue. They just said, "Are you prepared to pay $350?" She said, "Could you bill me?" They said, "Mm-hmm." She was out in 15 minutes. That's where you see the wage gap. That's where you see, because see, you're Latina, you're black, you get hit. You're a woman, you get hit a lot of times. And you also run this station. What? So, we got to talk about that because in 2020, while we are arguing about who we like the best, you need to get who is best for you and who's going to argue for you, who's going to do what you need them to do. Because this is our money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's our lives. It's our lives. So when we come back, we're going to talk with Attorney C.K. Hoffler, President-elect of the National Bar Association, the largest and oldest black bar association in the world, more than 65,000 lawyers. And of course, our love doc here, the brilliant, the best-selling author and psychologist, Dr. Brenda Wade. And we've got McCabe Tucker, my schoolmate. I'm so glad that she called in. And who else do we have, Lady B? We have Erin Connely,
Erin
my
Connely.
girl. Okay, she is, of course, she is Dr. Wade's wing woman. That's what she
Yes.
calls herself now. Oh boy, but let's talk about this gender wage gap. Let's talk about it. Chaparral, you need to call in. And Maria, you need to call in. We need to talk about this today, and we want all of you to call in at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Join us over on YouTube on the Santita Jackson Show, and you all are joining at a wonderful clip, and we're so excited about that. And continue to join us and like and share everybody over here on Facebook on the Santita Jackson and Friends page. Let's talk about this pay gap, this gender gap, this wage gap, this wealth gap. As more and more people are putting off retirement, you will see how important this wage gap is. I just picked up some coffee this morning from a fast food place. There are older people working in there.
Mm-hmm.
People should be collecting Social Security. Come on. And these are women
Yeah.
and men. But let's talk about that on the Santita Jackson Show. Back in just a minute. strong second in New Hampshire. I'm not upset with anybody because honestly, I haven't chosen a candidate yet. But maybe because I've been through this process before, but more than that, it's just how I'm wired. I want things to be fair. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to cheat and win. If I
Mm-hmm.
didn't win, okay, I can live with that. But when I've been cheated, that just it's like, the princess and the pea. That pea in the bottom of the mattress, you can't quite shake it.
Get it.
And what I can't shake is the fact that it takes 20 months for a black woman to make what a white man of similar skills makes in 12. What I can't shake is that it takes a Latina 11 months. See, our date is August 22nd, Black Women's Equity Day. I think for Latina women it's November 20th. No, this is off. It's not right.
Mm-mm.
So let's talk about it, everybody. We are going to, and the imposter syndrome. How does that undermine us? Because given all of these barriers to equality, sometimes we don't feel worthy or we feel that we've got to overachieve, right? We've been told we have to be superior in order to be equal. I get it. But even then, we don't feel like we're quite enough. We're not working hard enough. So we got a tremendous panel with us today. Dr. Brenda Wade, the Love Doc, Attorney C.K. Hoffler, Aaron Connely, and I think Maria joined us too. So I cannot wait. We also have a lot of callers. So let me start off with you, Dr. Wade, because you started us off on Friday and you talked about that imposter syndrome and you got people reeling. What's going on, Dr. Wade?
Santita, this thing we call imposter syndrome had an old name, and that name was low self esteem.
Mm.
And women typically, because we are convinced for generations now that women aren't equal to men, how does that get ingrained? Well, one of the ways it's ingrained is women don't get the same opportunities, the same pay, the same advancement, the same promotions. The list goes on and on. Now, there's a very high cost, not just to women. There's an old saying that if women aren't doing well, the world isn't doing well. And the reason for that, Santita, is that women are still the ones with the primary responsibility for the home, for
Mm-hmm.
parenting,
Mm-hmm.
for making sure that the next generation does well. So if women are suffering stress, the stress that comes with struggling to make ends meet, the
Yes.
stress that comes with not being treated as equal citizens or equal human beings, or having your talents, your skills, your intelligence, your education degraded, it means that the next generation is growing up with what we call adverse childhood experiences. And we know that these ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, very well documented, extremely well documented, create conditions of illness, mental health, illness, physical illness. All of these things contribute to higher costs and less education, less success, and there's a cycle. Do you see?
Oh,
The
yeah.
cycle keeps repeating. So imposter syndrome is just you lie to people long enough, they believe it's the truth. Lie to women that they're not equal, they can't do as good a job. Women start internalizing that for generations and believing it and going into a job for which they're very well qualified, believing that they aren't as qualified as men because they're women. It's that simple.
Wow. C.K. Hoffler, do you see this?
See it all the time. I see it all the time. I've seen it in my own life. And I have been blessed objectively with some success, you know, in my career. But I feel like it's a story of my life, and I know that it's a story of most women, largely most professional women. But even if you're not, it doesn't turn on whether you're a professional woman or not. This is just a story. This is part of our existence, and it is disheartening because you do have to fight day in and day out. The way that I see it, and maybe because my reality as a traveler, as I here before said, is I have opposing counsel. I'm in a world that is really dominated by men
Mm.
on the other side. My opposing counsel are usually men. Occasionally, there are some women that are my opposing counsel, but mostly, by and large, my opposing counsel the past 32 years have been men. And so it just doesn't manifest itself on your job where you're working, where you have to struggle, and where you, if you're not your own boss, you're not your own boss, and you have your own business, you for sure are fighting that battle. Even if you are on a commission-driven job or a eat what you kill in the legal profession, meaning you get a percentage of what you bring in and whatever. Who decides what cases you're going to get? How is that decided? Right there. Even when you're in a situation where you eat what you kill, meaning you settle a case, you try a case and win, you get paid a percentage of that. Even in that scenario, someone has to decide which cases you're getting. And who makes that determination? And how are those cases divided? How are those cases allocated? You see it happening when you have opposing counsel that makes nasty, insulting, gender awful, if there's such a term, remarks to you as you're a woman. Now, I admit, sometimes it's hard for me to distinguish whether some of the comments coming at me or the approaches and the attitudes are because I'm African American or because I'm a woman. But it doesn't matter. I can't figure out which comes first, but I know it's a blend. And in some instances, the responses are simply because I'm a woman. And you just get tired of that fight every single day in every orifice of your body. And so you do, at the end of the day, come home and just, for me, I just exhale. But I'm not going to stop fighting on this issue because for me, my fight on this issue will dictate how my male sons, how my children, my sons understand and live how they must treat women. I have to fight for that issue. So as much as it is demoralizing, degrading, upsetting, disgusting, and makes me sometimes angry, I have to realize that the bigger picture is the next generation. And so that is what fuels my energy to fight. And also I have to get up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror. It's not good enough to just talk gender equity. You've got to walk into it. We shouldn't have to be fighting this battle. It is absolutely true. We shouldn't have to look at it this way. It's enough that we are the nucleus of the household. It's enough that we run our homes. It's enough that our children count on us, rely on us, even when there's a two-parent household, for emotional, academic, and all the support. It's enough that sometimes we are the main breadwinners. All that is a lot. And then we have to fight for gender equity and pay. And we see it happening. It's demoralizing. It's demoralizing when you walk into a workplace and you see a male colleague who brings less than half of what you bring to the table, but gets paid twice as much, gets put on better assignments, gets the opportunity to do better than you. You've got to fight for it. And so that is really unfortunately what we see today. And by the way, the higher up you are in corporate America, the more you're going to see it. The more. So this is not, again, something that is socioeconomic in the sense that if you are a skilled laborer, that's where you only see it. No. It's everywhere. And it's something that we have to look to these candidates to address. We're talking about a whole bunch of this and a whole bunch of that. But if for instance, black women are the strongest voting bloc in this country at this time.
That's right.
And can make a difference in the election. If that's the case, I know that there are many of us that are raising this question for these candidates. There's a way that you can address, because right now they all want to be elected. They all want to be our leaders. So we have to hold their feet to the fire. I think this is a critical issue to raise in this election. But, Santita, I know that's a long-winded answer, but it's really the story of my life.
No, it's not long-winded, and I'll tell you why. I hear the frustration. You and Dr. Wade are at the tops of your professions. But I don't care whether we are working in a fast food restaurant, a big box store, wherever we are professionally, we all have the same narrative, Dr. Wade, and it wears you out. It wears you out. I know. First of all, because Attorney Hoffler has worked, thank God, with top-level black lawyers who saw her potential immediately coming out of law school. So coming out of law school, you were able to work with top level people, because they said this woman's been over in boarding school in Switzerland since she was 5. She's completely French speaking, francophone. She's brilliant. Of course, I'm going to give her the shot. You know, sadly enough, if you were at a white firm, you would have had to fight very differently to get those opportunities. So, you and Dr. Wade, please have at it before I bring in everybody else, because so many people want to talk about this.
You know, one of the things I'm so appreciative that Attorney Hoffler talked about what happens when assignments are given out. You know, the assignment you're on can make all the difference. And you made me think of the fact that the very first day I went to graduate school, the head of the department met with each graduate student, because it was a very small number of us that got in and made the cut. And he put his feet on the table, and he looked at me, leaned back in his chair. Now, I was there to do research and to go from PhD to MD. I had my whole plan laid out. I was ready to talk about my research and how excited I was. And he said to me, "How do you feel about being black?" I almost fell out of my chair. I said, "How do I feel about being black?" But I thought we were going to talk about my research and why I'm here and how I won a spot in the number one psychology research university in the country. I thought we were going to talk about that.
Oh, you did. Oh, okay.
I went to my advisor, and I will tell you, the thing that saved me, and I want to put this out there, and helped me get through and manifest my educational dreams, was I had 2 women, both of them white, who were my champions. And they fought back against the sexist and racist department chair. And I would never have gotten through school. So women of whatever ethnicity, of whatever stripe you may be, if we champion other women, that's one of the ways we're going to get there, Santita. Now, I want to make sure that I give people the formula for fighting this imposter syndrome, because another name for imposter syndrome is low self-esteem, it's lack of faith in yourself, it's feeling that somebody else is better than you are, and you may not consciously understand that what you're facing is this long-term, when I say long-term, I mean generation after generation after generation of brainwashing, that women do not have a place in the workplace, that we don't really belong there, that men are the ones who, I still hear people say this, who are responsible for supporting a family, which just isn't true anymore. It never was true, because women were supporting the family, whether they were full-time homemakers or not. I have some of my clients, I just have to say it, some of my clients who are professional homemakers still have their spouses, male spouses, say to them, "Well, you don't work. You don't work. You don't even have a job." And I'm constantly saying, go back to the research that shows that if you paid people to do what a full-time homemaker does, the person who is responsible for coordinating medical care, nutrition, shopping for the kids, getting them to school, it would cost $800,000 a year to have a staff do all the things that a professional homemaker does. So I just need to put that out there, Santita. So when you're ready, let me know. I'll do the exercise.
Absolutely.
I had to learn it.
Well, absolutely. But I want to bring on a couple of our wing women here. They are rounding out this panel. Erin Connely, what are you hearing? Does this sound familiar?
Oh, yes. Well, and I really want to thank Dr. Wade, as always, for bringing up the idea of adverse childhood experiences and these micro traumas that live in us that we respond to in the workplace, right? We're playing out patterns that we have with our family. This lack of self-worth that we have, we try and work harder. We prove ourselves. We're the ones that stay later to make sure that somebody knows that we're worthy of even having the job that we have, let alone making the same amount of money. I think that's really important in how we approach and support women. I think that's a very important piece that I heard Attorney Hoffler bring up as well. we need to champion each other, right? If we can't have a mentor or a colleague that we can trust to say, I'm going into the salary negotiation. I really don't want to lose my job, but I'm, working at what I feel like is 40% more than everybody on my team. Having somebody as your wing woman to hype you up and say, no, let's look at what you've done. Let's go back to your hours. Let's go back to your job description and see all of the other things you're doing. But oftentimes we can't make that case ourselves, right? We need that support. We need that village of other women.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for having this conversation. I think it hopefully will start a lot of conversations this week among friends to say, how can I support you better in your career? So that aggregate of losing that 20, 30 cents on the dollar doesn't feel so hard. But really, that's the type of policies that we need to be talking about. How do we bridge this gap, this very destructive wage gap for families that it's taking money out of your pocket, taking money out of your savings account. That interest isn't compounding, that 401k match isn't happening because we don't have that first level of money. And oftentimes, I know we discussed this last time, but women don't ask for enough when they get their first job, and then every negotiation after that is going to be deficient. So I just wanted to make sure I got that point in there.
No, that's a big point to get in there, because how you feel about yourself. I am somebody. This is when it met. That means a whole lot. Maria Rodriguez, what are you hearing?
Oh my God, I'm hearing echoes of things that I've heard, that I felt, that I experienced in my life. It's interesting that there's layers to this because, and I was just thinking while she was speaking that all of this started for me when I entered the public school system. Because before that, I never felt inferior. I never felt I was any less than anybody else. But when I entered the public school system, and just being exposed to people outside, I was told that I was different because I'm Puerto Rican. I was made to feel like I was not good enough. And mind you, I was out of classes. I overachieved just to be on the same level with somebody I sometimes thought was just average. Just so I felt like, hey, I'm okay. I'm doing really well, but I was really overachieving. And what's so sad is that as a child, you hear these derogatory comments made at you. You spit. I mean, I heard a lot of bad stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that, you hear that so often, pounded at you, and you're made to feel like you don't belong here. I was born in this country, but I was made to feel like I was just, not good enough. And so, of course, for me, the way I try to overcome that was to overachieve, to show people I'm just as good. And then, I didn't have the maturity.
But Maria, what's so ironic? I want you to continue that you're just as good as the average white kid. Now here you're superior. I mean, do you see does everybody see what I'm saying? That, because you'll get in these classes, you're a better student. And many of these kids will see, many white kids will see a high achieving black person, and they say, oh, it's clear you were raised around white people, or oh, you're as smart as me. I'm like, no, I'm a little smarter, but okay, who's counting? Who's counting IQ points? But I mean, and I'm saying that with women, and really, because let me tell you, sexism jumps across race lines. Now, if you want to see men gang up on women, just look at football, basketball, and hockey. They've been trained to do that.
Yeah, and to me with the comment about, it really starts with the mothers, because they're perpetuating this generational thing that for some reason, and it's probably unconscious, because I've seen it in my own, being Latina, the chauvinism that happens with the men and the boys, that, we need to push the boys more. Like my mother didn't go to school because it was the boys that needed to go to school. And she was smart as anything. She never had the education. That was one thing she regretted her entire life. So she was happy for me when I wanted to keep going. And so the mothers, there was a comment earlier, mothers also need to be involved in their sons' lives and help them to realize that little girls, women, are just like, we're made differently, thank God for that.
Yes.
But we're equals. We're equals. You know, just because I'm a woman doesn't make you better than me. So that really made because I remember thinking that when I was younger. I said, "My God, these mommies need to realize they're perpetuating this machismo when they're teaching their boys, you know, don't cry. You're better than the girls. You need, you know what I mean? And it's subtle sometimes too. I don't think they even realize they're doing it.
Well, you know, I think that we're buying in. Before we go to break, Makiba, I wanted to give you a couple of minutes to respond to what you've heard.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me on the program. Everything that is being said, Lord, it shouldn't make me feel better because I'm sorry that we're all going through it. But I've always felt like, is it just me?
Mm.
And I understand so much about overachieving just to be seen as, I don't even think equal. I needed to overachieve just to be seen as almost equal.
Mm.
You know, I remember the women in my family telling me, you have to be twice as good to be seen the same. However, when the men would leave the room, then they'd huddle around and say, no, honey, you have to be 3 times as good. And I was always striving to be better, 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 but it never seemed to matter. It didn't seem to matter at all.
But you know, Makiba, that's why when we come back, we're going to talk with Dr. Wade and an attorney, C.K. Hoffler. They've been in positions of authority, and they are. And to hear about the exercises that Dr. Wade has for us, to hear really, Attorney Hoffler, just how we manage this in the workplace. How do you go ask for that raise, or how do you start with the negotiation? And Aaron, you brought it up. I mean, because we have to be paid correctly and not apologize for it, and we have to be respected and protected. That's why the ERA, 38th state, it takes 2/3 of the states to have an amendment to the Constitution. Well, 2/3 of the states have now. Virginia just crossed that line, and we now have 38 states who've approved the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. What about it? When is it going to be added? They're saying that, well, it should have been done within this particular period of years, and it did not happen. Okay, look, enough already. This is 2020. These are the issues I believe that we need to be talking about. Women are moving the needle in these elections. Black women are the most influential voting bloc in the United States of America at this time. Now, when we talk about August 22nd, Attorney Hoffler, I know the National Bar Association has made this an issue this year. It takes till August 22nd for a black woman to make what a white man of similar skills has made. But guess what? Native American women, it takes them till September 23rd. Latinas, it takes them until November 20th. It's unacceptable. White women are making 79 cents to what a white man makes to his dollar. This is unacceptable. So while we're arguing about Bernie and Buttigieg and Warren, I got you. Who's going to advocate for you? And do you know the ask? Do you know what you need to require of these candidates? When they get there, I need you to deliver for me. We need equal pay, and we need it now. More of the Santita Jackson Show. Meet me over on YouTube on the Santita Jackson Show. Like and subscribe. And the Santita Jackson and Friends here on Facebook. Like and share. We'll be back with in just a few minutes.
Ground Game is the
You know,
latest
it's
podcast from
interesting
the Associated Press.
hearing
Hosted by
the
AP's
passion.
Julie Pace, Ground Game discusses
What's
election
interesting is
strategy all throughout
everybody. What's
primary season.
interesting for
Download
me
it wherever you
is
get
hearing
your
the passion.
Yeah.
When we asked Makiba, first she had to take a deep breath. You ask Maria, first she had to take a deep breath. You ask Attorney Hoffler. She had to take a deep breath, and she said, I'm sorry I took the long way home to get here, but no, it's that mounting frustration, because you know what you're living with from day to day.
Yes.
And so everybody, August 22nd, black women, that's what it takes for us to make what a white man has made of similar skills by December 31st of the year before. But for Native American women, that date is September 23rd. It's 1 month. They have to work 1 month more. Latinas have to work 2 months more. It's November 20th. I think we need to make this an issue in 2020. And you need to raise your daughters, your goddaughters, your nieces, the girls that you care about, who will become women. They need to feel empowered. You need to let them know that they are not just equal to, they are human beings, first of all, which makes you equal because that's what God made us to be. Let's think about that. Think about it. Think about that. I mean, and when that's why I wanted you to see this. When you see these numbers, you go, you gotta be kidding me. And we all typically make less than what we're worth, and sometimes we're in on it. That's my point. Sometimes we're in on the diminishing of our value. Got to change that. Got to change that.
Because it's true what Attorney C.K. Hoffler was saying, that sometimes we hesitate, we second guess, is it time for us to ask that raise? You know?
Am I, well, will I get, I don't know if I should.
If I should. Why do we second guess ourselves? And
well, I get it. I understand why we second guess ourselves. Because, you know, your first guess is that you're wrong. Then you start thinking, and maybe I'm right. Something's wrong. We're inferior. We do, And if I'm too professional, then I'm too hard. I'm just not enough. Bottom line, not gonna work. So I'm glad we did that, because a lot of people do want to talk about it. And so, you know, we're going to continue this conversation throughout the year. You know, we are. This is not the end of this. And, you know, we've got to do something about period poverty. We need to have a drive. Ida Melby reached out to me from the Period Collective.
Okay.
And because I mentioned that, and I think we should do that. We should do that. We should have a drive. Ooh, it's a lot. Oh, so do we do a commercial or do I do a live read?
You want me to drop a commercial and then do a live read
at the bottom, and then
Carroll Stream this morning. This crash on southbound Gary at Army Trail, West Chicago. There's a collision. Fabian Parkway at Technology Boulevard. Eden's inbound traffic. Slow Peterson to the junction. 21 minutes like the Montrose.
So for the people on YouTube, it seems like they like more how Facebook is set up, where on YouTube I put the be right back, I put on the commercial break, but you know on Facebook they can see even after the break,
they should
and talk to you.
They like that.
So for now on YouTube I'm gonna start doing that as well.
Yes, because it's not a traditional, that's good, that's great thinking, but it's not a traditional TV show. People like the fact that they have the interaction one-on-one. That's what they really like. So, you know, be right back. I hear you, but here for these purposes, people, hello, want to say hello.
Hi, everybody. Let's kick off the 2020 NBA All-Star Weekend here in Chicago with Reverend Jesse Jackson, NBA great Shaquille O'Neal, Judge Greg Mathis, NBA Hall of Famers Isaiah Thomas and Dave Bing, and for all of you old schoolers out there, the human beatbox, Dougie Fresh, as we honor the life and works of Kobe Bryant. Meet us Thursday, February 13th, 2020 at 8 p.m. at Soldier Field in the United Club as Rainbow Push, CEF, and Push Excel raise money for the Cool Kids Code Program. The Cool Kids Code Program. So in the spirit of scholar-athlete Kobe Bryant, let's support our children as they pursue excellence. Tickets are on sale at rainbowpush.org, and for more information, call 888-503-6631. That's 888-503-6631.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay,
it's
this is the
Rob
last
Smithville,
spot.
co-host of the Climate Pod. Did you know the average Chicagoan is responsible
You know,
for
I want to
12
grab a
metric
couple
tons
callers
of greenhouse
before
gases each
I
year?
go to the
And
exercise.
their electricity
So I'm going to
alone
really,
accounts for
because
nearly 7
they
metric
came in
tons.
first,
But you can join Hero
right?
Power now and take a
These
huge
the
chunk
callers.
out of your carbon footprint.
Ooh.
Illinois residents
Okay.
and businesses can support
Ooh.
renewable energy development at no extra cost. The Hero Power Clean Energy Program matches 100% of our customers' electricity consumption with Green E certified renewable energy certificates at the
Who's
same
this,
rate as
Elaine?
ComEd. Hero
30
Power is
30
an easy and affordable way for anyone to slash their carbon footprint and support clean energy. And now, WCPT listeners can get $25 off their first bill at myheropower.com/WCPT. It takes just 2 minutes. Join now at myheropower.com/WCPT.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter. Wake up, Chicago. This is the Santita Jackson.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show as we're talking about the gender and the race wage gap and how they intersect for women of color. But all women, white, yellow, red, black, and brown, are not making what our male counterparts are making in the United States and all around the world. And it has really, really sometimes deadly consequences. It certainly shapes your life options. So we're going to be talking about that. Keep those calls coming in at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We're talking with Dr. Brenda Wade about the imposter syndrome and how sometimes we can get in our own ways because we take in so many negative messages about ourselves that we don't feel that we belong. She's got some exercises for us today. I know I'm eager to participate in it because I have been guilty of that too. I have felt like an imposter in so many places. And we've got to watch what we say to our children, everybody, as Aaron points out, really, because these negative messages we carry forward, sometimes unconsciously. I mean, when I say our children, I don't mean just the children you give birth to. I mean all children, all people. Because even the adult has a child who is living inside of them that we are feeding positive or negative messages to. That's why we react. So everybody remember these dates. August 22nd, it takes until August 22nd of the next year for a black woman to make what a white man has made in the previous year by December 31st. That date goes out to September 23rd for Native American women. And for Latina women, it's November 20th. A Latina woman has to work 11 months to make what a white man of similar skills has made in 12 months. She has to work 23 months. What is that? And we have to put that out there. And white women only making 79 cents to a white man's dollar. It's just not fair. It's just not right. So everybody, let's get a couple of headlines in, and we've got 2 days to go until the New Hampshire primary, and it turns out a CNN University of New Hampshire poll is showing that most voters in that state see Sanders as most electable against President Trump. Wow, what do you think about that, everybody? What do you think? Wow, it's really interesting, and it turns out that it's becoming a Sanders-Buttigieg clash. The progressives versus the moderates. Who will win, and how will we come together when we get to Milwaukee to this convention in the summertime? Will that happen? Wow. Iowa caucuses, the Sanders campaign is asking for a partial recanvass of the results because no one can really trust what happened. This app, this shadow app, had so many problems that they're wondering if they were shortchanged, and they need to make sure. Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, is pledging $100 million to President Trump in his campaign, and the Republicans. Wow. What do you think about that? These billionaires are really getting involved in politics. And while Mitt Romney has been called a Judas by many Republicans, guess what? In Utah, there's a lot of admiration and respect for him. He is being seen as a hero. Last night at the Academy Awards, Kobe Bryant was honored. God bless him. He won an Oscar, as you know, in 2018. And Chicago's own Matthew Cherry won the Oscar for Hair Love. he decided to make a documentary. Former NFL player. He wanted to affirm the beauty of black hair, and so for his portion, he brought as his special guest DeAndre Arnold, the Texas high schooler who has been told he can't march with his locks. So I'm so glad about that. So glad about that. This was just good news all the way around. And of course, Joaquin Phoenix, personal favorite of mine, gave a wonderfully heartfelt speech about really how we need to honor all life. That's really what it came down to. And Brad Pitt won. Yay, I like him too. Yeah. I really do. Laura Dern, love it. Parasite won. First non-English language film to win movie picture of the year. It was just really an interesting night. But I was looking at Power, everybody. Sorry. Then I was just studying for you. The 76ers defeated the Chicago Bulls 118 to 111, and the Jets defeated the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. And we're expecting a cloudy day today, a high of 28 degrees. It's a little chilly outside, but you know what? The snow's virtually disappeared, so you can wear your nice shoes and boots. Talking with Dr. Brenda Wade and attorney C.K. Hoffler. Attorney C.K. Hoffler is the president-elect of the National Bar Association, the largest and oldest black bar association in the world, 65,000 lawyers. And Dr. Brenda Wade, one of the most esteemed psychologists in the world. And we're talking with Makeba Tucker and Maria Rodriguez. I think we just lost Maria, but we have a lot of callers. Before we go into these exercises, Dr. Wade, Aaron Connely, I am struck by the fact that, as each of you have talked, the emotion that I hear. Because we've all experienced the imposter syndrome, and we have all experienced, should I ask for this salary? Do I deserve it? I don't know. I mean, so everybody, let me before we go into the exercises, Dr. Wade, I want to get a couple of these phone calls in because people called in as soon as we talked about, as soon as we opened this up. Is this Tony? How you doing?
Yes, Dr. Wade, Attorney Hoffler, appreciate the conversation this morning. You guys are making some really fantastic educational points. It's great. I would just like to say real fast that, people tend to vote and what have you when it affects them. Usually I don't really adhere to that because I try to vote for my fellow Americans, not just what's best for me. But I'd like to say that, you commented earlier that you're seeing, older people make your coffee, Santita, this morning. And I grew up poverty-stricken, and I finally, got a chance to go to college and get my education, and I'm working. I never really saw this wage gap in my just being a low-income earner. Guys, girls, whatever you got, you're just supposed to just have a job, and guys and girls kind of make, about the same amount of money. It wasn't a big deal to have a girl boss or a guy boss or ethnicity. It didn't matter. But I think as you start getting into like an actual decent paying job and stuff, I'm sure that that's out there. I mean, there's a lot of Weinsteins out there and a lot of, what's that justice's name that got promoted? Stories coming out that men have been taking advantage of women for a very long time. But I do know that women can put forth a lot too. I mean, just look at what happened during World War II, when women had to come out and actually do all the jobs that men couldn't do because everybody was out fighting the war. I just wanted to say that it's something that I don't see around me because I'm a low wage earner for the most part. See the gap between the haves and the have-nots and women.
But Tony, stay right there, hon, because you do know that most of the low-wage jobs are occupied by black women. That's what we make. Yeah. We make less, but even in the low-wage earning jobs, we make less than you do. I'm not blaming you. I'm looking at because it's not your fault. It's a system that's at fault here. But Tony, I want you to keep on listening to us because let me just get a couple more calls in, sweetie. I'm sending you much love out there at O'Hare. David, what's on your mind today? Oh, bless your heart.
And I've called in here several times, and you and I spoke after the show a little bit. That arrangement has not been made yet. Nobody's got back to me on.
Okay, well, hold on, because you're here today, and what we want to do, what we want to do is try and give you a line. Not just give you a line, but if you can call in early enough, we promise that we will lock you in so that you can listen to the show. Could you hold on a moment, David? Stay right there. Stay right there, David. Let me go to Maine. Maine, what's on your mind?
Yeah, my thing is about capitalism and poverty.
Okay, now Maine, we can't really understand you. Are you on a speaker? Okay, because we can't understand you. Right. You sound very muffled. You sound very muffled. Yeah, you know what? Let's put you on hold. Let's put you on hold so that we can clean up your line. And let me go to you, Dr. Wade. Well, just very, very quickly, if you all could give me just a comment in a minute or so, as everyone's been sharing their stories, I'll start with you, Attorney Hoffler. I heard the emotion. It felt like there was an accumulation of stuff that you wanted to get off your chest.
Well, first of all, thank you for providing this platform for us to do this. I mean, it is. I am emotional about it. The NBA, as you know, and as you said, has made it a priority to address these issues. And I applaud our president, Althea Robinson, who took the bull by the horn and dedicated a day for us at the NBA nationwide to address these concerns and talk about these concerns. It is something that's so personal because I have had the benefit of working with men who have, as you said, recognized my talent and given me that opportunity. And I earned the right to stay there because, people can recognize your talent, but you then have to go through that door. And you've got to maintain. You do have to work 3 times as hard. But there are other people around you constantly, even if you do have that opportunity, who are working, it appears, very, very aggressively to make sure that you understand that you are not as good. And that's what we fight, whether it's judges for me, whether it's opposing counsel, whether it's co-counsel, whether it's colleagues, whether it's clients. So I think it's just how it's a battle that we have to fight and we have to face because there's so many ways that we can be compensated less than just with on issues. Because there are a lot of subjective issues that go into play. So we do have to stand up and we do have to have those conversations. We do have to say, I am worth more. This is what I do. You have to keep a record of what you do so that when the time comes for you to have that discussion about your pay, that you're quick to make your case. Men don't have to make the case in the same way, but we do. So making your case starts from within, telling yourself and having the courage to stand up and say, look, this is not acceptable. And inherent in that, and sometimes you got to be prepared to do this. You have to be prepared to do this. At some point, you might have to walk. If it's bad enough, you might have to walk and be prepared to do that. And I understand that a lot of women are not prepared to do that. So it's a complicated issue, but it starts within and making a determination of what you can and can't do, what you should and should not tolerate, and what that point of no return is. And we should not be fighting this fighting. So I think we need to hold these candidates feet to the fire to address these issues. What are they going to do about this? That should be the question we're asking these candidates. What are they going to do? And I haven't heard that come out at all, which is
well, I haven't heard it in 2020. And Dr. Wade, she made the point. Dr. Wade, she makes the point. This struggle, on one level, starts with us. It starts from within, feeling that you're worthy, knowing that you belong.
100%, Santita. That is absolutely true. I appreciate so much what Attorney Hoffler just said because we do need to be active on the outside. We have to transform these gender gaps from the outside in and from the inside out. Because what we think, we're back to imposter syndrome again. I can remember when I first started my career, I was out looking for work and I was applying for different jobs. And somebody would come out into the waiting room and say, Dr. Wade, and they'd walk up to the oldest white man in the room and say, Dr. Wade. And I would wait, let them call on a couple other white men, then I would stand up and say, right, I'm Dr. Wade. Wrong age, wrong sex, and wrong color. And a friend of mine heard me say that. Susie Eng, I will always remember Susie saying to me, oh my God. She said, Brenda, don't ever say that again. You are putting yourself down in that way. And so she taught me something, Santita. May I quickly teach everybody this exercise?
Absolutely.
Everything. Now, everyone, I want you to literally take 5 minutes, and I want you to write these things down. Wherever I go, whatever I do, everything about me is an asset. Everything about me is an asset. And then I want you to list everything that describes you. Now, my list said my particular age, whatever it was at the time, my gender, my ethnicity, my education, my work experience. I'm a mother. At the time, I was a single mother. I grew up in San Francisco, California. I wrote everything about me down. Now, Santita, I kept reading that list to myself. I had it on the mirror in my medicine cabinet, on the medicine cabinet in my bathroom, so that I would see it every single day and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. So I got a call. One of the shows I worked for 5 years was the Today Show. And the first time I went to NBC in New York to do the Today Show, the senior producer came running down as I walked off the set and said, come upstairs. The executive producer wants to see you. I walked in and she said, you're the right age, the right color, the right gender, you're a mom, you're exactly what we've been looking for to be the show's psychologist. And I thought to myself, she's reading my list. I had it happen again in Los Angeles for another show. And again, it was reflected to me. I had done the hard work to be qualified, but I had to qualify myself in my own subconscious mind. So we have to meet the outside with preparation, as Attorney Hoffler said, but we have to meet from the inside, believing that everything about us, particularly our gender and everything else, is an asset. Now, I dare you to write it out, put it where you can see it, and repeat it over and over, and take that attitude into the world. That is the opposite of imposter syndrome. That's knowing from the inside, I'm worth it.
Everyone, did you hear that? Maria and Aaron, does that make sense to you?
Oh, definitely. You know what? I wrote it down. I'm writing it down. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I love it.
I wanted to say amen. I wanted to say amen.
I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, but I want to say amen too.
It has worked for me, Santita. It's more than, a pivotal moment in my career. And let me say this, it also works in your personal life. If you are wanting to improve, now I have to get in my wheelhouse, improve your relationship life. If you're single and looking, you better know everything about you is an asset. If you're already partnered or married, it's important for you to know everything about you is an asset in that relationship. And when I'm doing training, I just did a full day Saturday, Santita, on love and sex. And we all, men and women in the training, had to look at appreciating ourselves as part of appreciating a partner, loving ourselves as part of loving a partner.
Why is that important? Why do you keep going back to, you're saying, okay, we've got to work to change the world outside, but you're saying we need to change our world inside. Why is that so important?
That's right. Because if we don't change it on the inside, it doesn't matter what kind of job we get, what kind of money we make. There's a part of us that will commit self-sabotage. And self-sabotage is, I don't know if I'm going to work that hard, or I'm not sure they're really going to hear me, or I'm not sure it's going to make a difference. Our attitude, that imposter syndrome, literally causes self sabotage. And self sabotage can be I'm going to be late every day, or I'm always going to be the one who's behind with the project. I don't get my deliverables in on time, or it doesn't matter. It's a defeatist attitude, and believe me, our attitude always comes out in our behavior. Always, always, always.
Aaron, ladies, because I mean, I'm getting an amen from Attorney Hoffler too, and Maria. Does any of this? Because I know. Look, we can have these fabulous careers, and our personal lives are just not where they need to be. Okay, and some of that's us too. I mean, look, I look, I'm putting myself on Front Street. I mean, I've been there, really. And and I, and let me just say this. Maybe this is hitting me at home because for so much of my life, I have felt like I've questioned, on some level, I've questioned whether I belong somewhere. Because people would say, "Oh, you got this because you're Reverend's daughter." Even though I would have to fight harder oft times because when I was growing up, he was so controversial and hated in so many quarters. I wanted to make sure that no one could question my qualifications or my worthiness, because also I didn't want any negative publicity to back up on the people who supported him, right? Um, and then, I also grew up, my grandmothers were in their 90s, and, CK, they just died over the past couple of years, 4 years. And you end up carrying, and there were women who worked, but then you end up carrying some of what they gave to you, you know, um, that you kind of need to step back. I mean, I will even say my mother's always said, I've got to protect my boys. And sometimes, it's like, wait a minute, I didn't realize how much help I needed till I got to college, how much support, I needed. And so, and I'm reaching out to everybody today because I think that these are some conversations I think that we really, really need to have with each other. And I don't care where we are professionally, Dr. Wade, because you got a mix of people here on air, and we all have the same issues.
Absolutely. It's so important. And one of the things, I can't say this enough, we as women have to champion one another. I have heard story after story after story. I coach executives every day. I coach people rising to the executive level. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You need a mentor. You need a champion. That's why I talked about the two women that championed me when I was going through my training. If those women hadn't been there, Santita, I wouldn't have made it. I know that. All three of my mentors were women, and those women pulled me through. They were all white women because there weren't any black women in positions of power at the university. There weren't any black women there at all who were professors. So it took women being willing to reach out for another woman. And we have that obligation. Now, let me add one thing, and you may have to have her on the show. Frida Kapoor Klein wrote a book called Giving Notice. Why women are leaving corporate America because they're not getting advancement. And I think the book is very important because she points out that in corporate America, unless you have a mentor, unless you have a champion, you're not going to rise up. And I think that's true in every profession. But we have to be there. I charge women to be there for other women. And I charge you to correct your attitude and your own self-talk. So that self-talk says wherever I go, whatever I do, everything about me is an asset.
When we come back on the other side, let's talk about this, everybody. Do you know that everything that you are, that everything that you experienced, everything that you have experienced, everything that that you're going to experience, it really can be used. It is to your advantage to be who you are. God did not make a mistake by making you who you are. You're a woman because you're a woman, and that is important. You are God's expression in female form. You matter. Your experience matters. And I say that to the brothers out there. I don't care what color you are. You're all brothers to me. Whoever we are, whatever our circumstances, they are to our advantage, but we have to see them that way. You should never see yourself as disadvantaged. You should see yourself as someone who experiences life from a certain position, right? What does Reverend Jackson say, Attorney Hoffler? From the manger up, not the mansion down. So, how do you see life? It all matters, everybody. It all matters. Continue to keep those calls coming in. We have a wonderful all-star panel led by Dr. Brenda Wade. I think she's she's everybody's doctor this morning, everybody's psychologist. We're all getting therapy for free. Oh my gosh. Everybody. We've got Attorney C.K. Hoffler, President-elect of the National Bar Association, McCabe Tucker, and Aaron Connely, and Maria Rodriguez, and all of you who are calling in as we talk about the imposter syndrome. Do you really know that you belong, or do you feel that you don't belong? Do you know that we women are not making the money that we're supposed to be making? I don't care what our colors are. But the more colored you are, the less money you make. Let's talk about that. Race does matter in this. And all women, all colors, need to come together and stop this practice. We have the power to make the change. We can do it. So let's get to it on the Santita Jackson Show. Back in just a couple of minutes. Oh, we've got a ticket giveaway too. This is wonderful.
You're listening
right here.
To WCPT 820.
Do I have a live read now?
Chicago traffic update.
At some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Metro has some delays on the Milwaukee
spot.
West line,
Okay.
according to switching problems. We see delays on the inbound Eden starting at Peterson. 22 minutes like Oak to Montrose.
In 1 minute.
Kennedy, 35
and 30
minutes.
seconds.
O'Hare to downtown.
Well,
17 from
Because
Montrose.
it's like I added
14 to the
about 14
Express.
people to
Outbound 38
Facebook over
minutes
the
to
weekend.
O'Hare. We got
we just
Eisenhower,
picked up
45
one.
minutes, 390
Okay, we'll continue to
Outbound
push.
30.
Yeah.
Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 23 minutes,
Ooh,
90 minutes to
okay,
downtown.
I can do this now.
I-57,
No,
32
we
minutes,
picked
90
up-
to the merge, Bishop
we're at
426.
107.
Northbound
Oh,
Tri-State
really?
delays are Plainfield
Yeah.
Road to 47.
Are you happy now?
Eisenhower to the Grand
Yes.
Avenue Curve.
Good.
Northbound Veterans Memorial, traffic slow 63rd to Ogden. Northwest
Oh
Indiana
boy.
looks fine.
Okay.
And that's traffic. I'm Talamonte.
My hair's
This
still
is
kind
Tom
of
Hartman,
wet.
and I want to thank the United Union of Roofers and Waterproofers Local 11
You know, sometimes
for
I just
sponsoring
get-
the Tom Hartman program
I just
on
want to
WCPT. They're
be
celebrating
clean
their
from head to
100th
toe.
anniversary, and I wish them another 100
Just,
years
you know,
of building a strong
and
middle class.
I used to wash my
protecting a
hair
living
every
wage
day.
for workers and making the world a better
And
place.
it made me feel so good.
Listening
You know,
every day,
but then I used
weekdays,
to
11 to
Johnson
2
baby
p.m.
shampoo
on
until I was 25.
WCPT
Yeah, until I was
where
25.
facts matter.
I didn't know that people needed conditioner. I didn't know anything about that.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions like online
My hair was
skills
all
tests,
good,
which
and you
let
know,
a
my mother
candidate
said
show
you
that
need
they're
to
the
go
right
back to
hire.
whatever
Indeed
you
will also
were
give you the
doing
sticky
because
product, which will
you know, because
suddenly
I
work
just
and
didn't do
stick
anything
the
to
face
it.
of the perfect hire.
But you know, wear a
Yeah,
braid.
okay, there's
you know,
no sticky product.
and that was
But
that
skills
worked.
tests, that's a for sure.
Is this
See why
wonderful?
independent
Is
research
Dr.
by
Wade
Silk
great?
Road shows
And so
Indeed
is
delivers
so
3
is
times
Attorney
more
Hoffler.
hires than any other
And
job
so is
site.
Aaron,
Visit your next job at
Makiba,
Indeed.com/hire
Maria.
and try skills tests for free.
That's
Terms
why
and
we have to get
conditions
Dr.
apply.
Wade in here.
Want to hear something amazing?
This is the last
Discover
spot.
matches all the
Yeah.
cash back
So
you earn
now
on your
I
credit
just go
card
talk
at the end
about-
of your
okay.
first
And then
year,
we'll do the
automatically,
library.
dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize
15
all the
seconds.
places where Discover is accepted. Over 95% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at
5,
discover.com/yes.
3,
2019
2.
Nielsen Report limitations apply.
Hey everybody, let us kick off the NBA All-Star Weekend in the right way. We're honoring Kobe Bryant, the great scholar athlete, the NBA legend. Shaquille O'Neal, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Judge Greg Mathis, Isaiah Thomas, Dave Bing, all of them Hall of Famers, and for all of us old schoolers, Dougie Fresh, the human beatbox. We're all coming together to help a program called Cool Kids Code. Cool Kids Code. Our children need to go to school. They need to know that it's cool to be smart. It's really, really cool to be smart. And Cool Kids Code is a program from Push Excel that need your help because we're trying to send kids to school. So, on Thursday night, February 13th, at the United Club in Soldier Field at 8 p.m., put on your fabulous clothes and come on out. Let's have a good time. Call 1-888-503-6631. 1-888-503-6631. Go to rainbowpush.org so that you can find out how you can get your ticket and help these cool kids who code. You know, Kobe Bryant dedicated his life to being the best that he could be. You know what? What could happen with our children if they got that kind of help, that kind of boost? That's what we're trying to do with Cool Kids Code. So call 1-888-503-6631, 1-888-503-6631, and let's help send our kids to school. That's right. We want to see you with Shaquille O'Neal, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Judge Greg Mathis, Dave Bing, Isaiah Thomas, and Dougie Fresh, and so many of the great NBA All-Stars who will be at this reception with us, and you can be there too at Soldier Field at the United Club. See ya on Thursday, February 13th. Go to rainbowpush.org and call 888-503-6631, 888-503-6631.
Hi, Saver.
Micah.
Looking for ways to save on your Medicare Part D copays?
Love
that at Walgreens.
And so
We're
we
a
got
preferred network pharmacy with many plans
a minute and
nationwide,
20
which could mean
seconds.
lower copays for you.
We're going to have
Bring
to
your
do
prescriptions
this
to a
on a
Walgreens
regular.
pharmacy
I
and
think
start
this,
saving
and this
today.
is where I think you
Walgreens,
see
trusted
the,
since 1901.
I think the
Walgreens
strength of the
participates
show,
as a
where
preferred
people can have
network
very
pharmacy
honest
with United
conversations
Healthcare,
about
Cigna, and Express Scripts
what we go
Medicare.
through. Because I think
Walgreens
what is,
participates with other plans. See Walgreens.com
I'm going to bring on
/Medicare
Nikki.
for details.
What is interesting is hearing
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is
we all
looking
go
for
through
authors.
this.
Have you written a
And
book and
it's-
want to get
and
it published? Page
it
Publishing will
exhausts
get
you.
your book into bookstores
I don't
and for
care.
sale online at Amazon,
I don't care
Apple
if you go
iTunes,
shopping and
other
engage in
outlets.
retail
They handle
therapy.
all
I don't care what
aspects of the
you
publishing
we're
process for
exhausted
you.
by it.
Printing,
Yes.
cover art,
And
publicity,
it impacts our
copyright,
health.
and
It
editing.
does put a stress on you.
now for your free author submission
That,
kit.
and
That's
remember, the number one killer of women is heart
800-501-3689 for
disease.
your free author submission kit.
It hurts
Again,
your heart
800-501-3689.
to be undervalued, everybody. Think about that.
Wendy's has been showing everyone
Think
how to
about
do fast
that.
food right for 50 years. And now they're
It
showing
hurts your
you how
heart.
2 for 5s are done with
Every
Wendy's
25
2 for 5.
seconds.
Okay.
It's the only one where you can get Wendy's fresh, never frozen beef and that Wendy's spicy chicken you crave. Pick 2 for $5.
Nikki.
Choose between the juicy Dave single, the
But I'm so
tasty
glad,
spicy
and I'm glad we had
chicken
Makiba
sandwich, 10-piece crispy,
and
or
Maria
spicy nuggets.
and Aaron
Come in
on,
today and taste
because
how
I think
real
it
2 for
rounds
5 is done.
it
Only at
out.
Wendy's.
You know,
Available in contiguous US, Alaska, and Canada. Price and
and it
participation
levels the
varies for
playing
time.
field. Here we go.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Oh boy, hey everybody. You know what? I was talking with my producer, Lady B, who is just someone for whom I have the greatest admiration and respect. She is a brilliant engineer. Brilliant engineer. She runs this whole station. You know, WCPT is really part of NewsWeb Radio, which is a whole network of stations, and she keeps the station, really, literally, the stations going. Brilliant engineer. Mother of 5 children, and she has a child who has special needs, and she's got to take care of her 24/7, and she does that. She does this. I don't know how she does it, and all of her children are brilliant. She has 2 engineers in the making, and she has a daughter who's on her way to the Berklee School of Music on scholarship. Brilliant young artist, and I see her struggling. And I have to tell you, when I see it, I know it makes you strong and it makes you stronger, but I have to tell you, sometimes it just breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm like, can a brilliant woman catch a break? Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we've got to pull for each other. That's why I call your name all the time. I want people to know that you get here before I do. You're about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm coming in about 5. And you are running things. And I want everybody to know who you are. And that's how we help each other, by recognizing each other and letting you know that I see you.
Mm-hmm.
I see you. That's important. I mean, and I have to thank Dr. Brenda Wade for being one of my great teachers, and I will say Attorney Hoffler, because she has pushed me to look at my own worth. And I have to tell you, not just as my lawyer, but as my sister friend, as my sister girl, these 2 women have challenged me to grow and to let whatever pain you've had, let it go. You need to move forward. And I can never thank these 2 sister friends of mine for all of their love and support. Let me go to Nikki, because yes, I need support too, everybody. I really do. I need some help. As my grandma Helen used to say, I'm not well myself. I'm trying. Hoo-wee. Nikki, what's on your mind today? Nikki?
Hi, Santita. I just wanted to mention that Um, a few years ago, I was a supervisor on the west and south sides of Chicago, and it was supervising mainly women in very entry-level jobs, part-time, base pay, just minimum wage. And a lot of times it was women who were going out for their first time on a job. 9 times out of 10, they had children. And I don't know that the rest of the world really understands the obstacles that are in their paths. And being that I was raised in the suburbs, I didn't know the obstacles. And I would get a phone call in the morning, and it would be, I won't be able to come to work. I got a flat tire. I don't have the money to fix it. I can't come to work. My brother was shot last night. I'm now going to be taking care of his children. I can't come to work. My grandmother's in the hospital. There's nobody else to go with her. It would be, I have to go to court today to renew my order of protection. I have to go to court today to make sure that my child support comes through. It was unbelievable the obstacles that these women had to overcome. And of course, the failure rate was tremendous because there's no support system. It was an eye-awakening experience for me.
Nikki, I want you to stay right there, because what we have to, and I thank you for your sensitivity. I don't want to be incorrect in an assumption. You're white, yes?
Correct.
Okay, but you're a woman, and so you're getting it. So I was just trying to get whiteness. Whiteness is not a crime. It's just a description like blackness. Okay, so you know where you understand where I'm coming from, and I appreciate your sensitivity and your sensibility, because a different. Stay right there, Nikki, because Dr. Wade. I was talking with Vidalia during the break with my producer, and I said, the number one killer of women is heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
Death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, these little things, Nikki and Dr. Wade and C.K. Hoffler, Attorney Hoffler, and Maria and Makiba, this being mistreated and undervalued hurts.
Yes.
I just think can we just say that?
Yes.
There's a pause. Santita, there's an echo on the line. Am I the only one hearing it? Sounds like there's a line open with an echo.
Hold on, we're going to check. Put Nikki on hold. Nikki, stay right there. Let's see. We just want to make sure, because we are hearing an echo. Dr. Wade, is that better? Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, the key thing that I want to say is I want to support what you just said, because what you just said, death by 1,000 cuts, it's stress. We know that stress is the number one cause of illness, disease. It erodes the immune system. It erodes all the body's defenses. It takes us into the conditions we call anxiety and depression. Those are the number one things that cause ill health. And one of the reasons I keep talking about women supporting other women, and of course I want men to support women too, but that's one of the ways we defend against the anxiety. We defend against the depression. And we all need support. Santita, thank you for saying that. Now, I want to say something controversial. And I've been sitting here thinking about whether I wanted to say this out loud, because I know it's controversial, but one of the places we get a tremendous amount of sexism is in religion, because we firmly see in most religious institutions, women are marginalized, because everyone says, well, God is male, therefore men are more valuable than women. And we need to be very, very careful about that. If you look at the leadership of most religious institutions, we primarily see men. And that is beginning to change. I know many women rabbis. I know some women chiefs and medicine people. I know some women who are taking leadership in very, very courageous ways among religious institutions. But be careful, because that's one of the ways people excuse sexism, excuse it by saying God is male. And there's a book, you might want to read the book, when God was a woman and get a little bit of the history there.
Well, thank you for that, because I wanted to know if, Nikki, do you have a closing thought? Nikki?
I just hope that we can all come to each other's aid. The support system, it's all about the support system. And like you said, we as women have to support each other and not judge each other without knowing even where they walk.
Absolutely.
It's really, it's really about heart.
Well, Nikki, you make a great point because, Attorney Hoffler and Makiba and Maria, oftentimes it is women of color who give, I'd say, wealthier women of color and certainly white women the space to have the work-life balance, because we're the balance. We're the housekeepers. We're the nannies. We're the babysitters.
Santita.
A double shift.
A double shift. Work and come home and work the second shift.
And it never stops. My mother said, when I became a mother, life for me changed forever. Because a part of me will always be concerned that my child is okay. Always. She said, you never quite rest. She said, it's a joy, but you never rest. You never rest. And
these children are your heart beating outside your body.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Attorney Hoffler, what you got to say about that? And Makiba and Maria, jump on in. And Aaron?
Well, I mean, the one thing I'll say, I concur, when you're a mother, life changes forever. You're always concerned about your children. And that's why I think we have to fight hard for gender equity and pay equity. We just have to. Because we want to make sure that the generations, our children and generations after them, are changing the narrative, so that we're not repeating history, that we're not taking steps backwards. That's why this election is so important, because we have already taken steps backwards, and we can't afford to go further back.
But what do you say? How do you feel? Because you are a black woman, high achieving, and all of that, but you've got black boys, and of course we are concerned about these boys who will become men. And look, Sandra Bland already showed you that black women can get killed by the police, but we tend to be, the old expression in the black community, we love our sons and we raise our daughters. But how do you balance all of this as the mother of sons?
The best thing I can do for them is teach them how to respect high achieving women and to not be intimidated and to embrace high-achieving women, high-achieving black women, and to ensure that they are, I think all women, of course, but especially black women, and to ensure that they, as opposed to trying to hold someone back because she may have certain skills and talents, to elevate and push someone forward. That's the best thing I can do for my sons, and help them by giving them survival techniques when they're stopped by the police. I mean, it's just that simple for me. How do they survive? How do they enhance their chances of survival?
Well,
I mean, for me, it's just so basic. All the education, the foundation, everything else that I give them every day, the most important tool that we give them as a village, their father, myself, their grandparents, our village, is how to survive when they are stopped and when they're confronted with a certain situation where their life is hanging in the balance. Because as I tell them every day, you got to live for me to help you.
Wow. But Aaron, yes and no, please go on.
This is Maria. I want to add something that I realize, because I'm not a mother, but I'm very maternal. But I think the aunts, the grandmas, women in the lives of these children, and I include both women, girls and boys, because we want the girls to grow up into strong women, and we want the boys to grow up to be respectful, acknowledge that we are all equal. And it's sort of like two different kind of training, but I think every woman, if you have children in your lives, either as an aunt or a cousin or whatever, I think we also play a part. Obviously, we're going to ask, the mom's permission if it's okay. But I know when seeing my nieces and nephews growing up, I would advise them. They would come to me, and I would give them information so they could digest it and figure things out and have it reinforced by their parents. Because it's not just the moms, it's the dads too. The dads, I know my dad was so proud of me. And he said, one day you're going to grow up to be the president. And I remember, oh, yeah, right, Papi, Sure.
Oh, no. But you know what? I will tell you, but even the fact that we would laugh at that. I remember when my father was about to run for president in 1983, and we were all very concerned. It was exciting, but we were concerned because, quite frankly, no one expected him to survive the presidential run. And my father said he gathered my brothers, my sister and I back in my brother's room. And he said, part of the reason Daddy's got to run is because I want to lift the ceiling off of your ambitions. I don't want you to have an America that I've had. I want you to know that you can be anything you want to be because you're qualified and you're worthy. And I think we've got to, and he wasn't just speaking to my brothers. he was speaking to all of us. And Makiba, I haven't heard from you for a minute, and Aaron, because we only have about 8 minutes left in the segment. But boy, oh boy, we can talk about this forever. Oh, yeah, because I was going to say, because Aaron's got a little boy.
As I'm getting him set for the day, I just appreciate this conversation so much, and I think it's so important to be a kind voice in our own heads, to be our biggest cheerleader. So thank you, Dr. Wade, for that exercise. I think that's a great thing for all of us to do daily, is to look in the mirror and remind yourself who you are and what you stand for and who you're fighting for, and that includes our children, that includes everybody on the phone. So thank you all for today, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you, Santita.
Sending you all of our love and to the baby. Okay.
Thank you.
Santita, that's okay with Makiba.
Oh, Makiba, please, of course, girls, please jump in.
Thank you. I have 3 children, 2 girls, one boy. My children are all adults. I was just sitting here thinking how I know how my 2 brothers, or 2 other brothers, how they were raised. It was very, very clear. You never hit a woman. Never, ever, no matter what. Don't hit a woman. You do not disrespect a woman. If you have to, you just walk away. Taught my son the same. Called my son one day, and I said, what is that noise? What's that sound? He told me it was his girlfriend. I said, doing what? He said, she's slapping me and hitting me in the face right now. And he said, it's so matter of fact. I said, what? He said, she told me that I'm not on the phone with my mother. And she used some very colorful language. She thought it was okay to physically attack my son. However, if he had even just tried to restrain her, he could possibly be arrested. I said, walk out, leave, walk out. They had a child together. He said, I don't want to leave with her acting this way with my child. He went to pick the baby up. She said, if you walk out the door with the child, I'm calling the police for you. Both of my brothers, I have seen them attacked by women physically because they, in my opinion, they were raised to be gentlemen, do not do this to a woman. So, it's something, I don't know the answer to that. I really don't.
Well, hold on. Dr. Wade? Dr. Wade.
Makiba, any person who is violent in their behavior is someone who is raised with violence. Violence begets violence. So what you just described, the moment you said she was hitting your son, I thought, oh, she was beaten as she was growing up, or she saw her mother being beaten. There's no one who grows up without violence in their home and having that template in their brain who would grow up and hit anybody else. So it's very important to be aware this is someone who had been exposed to severe trauma, who is repeating the trauma. And what you did in teaching your son not to hit was the right thing. It's the right thing. But also, one of the things I teach people is how to diagnose whether somebody is a healthy partner for you. So that's another topic, another time, Santita.
It's another topic, another time, but that's why, we're gonna get you into Chicago because I saw your workshop this weekend on really on our intimate life. Because I think it goes beyond sex. And we need help. Look, I know I need help because I want to be as healthy as I can be. And we all, yes.
Learn better, love better, and nobody's at fault because we should have classes. I always say from first grade onward, maybe even kindergarten, how to create healthy relationships, how to communicate, how to problem solve, how to get out of toxic love patterns into healthy love patterns. It's nobody's fault because we don't include personal education in our education.
Yeah, and you know what, in Makiba, we need that.
We do, and to teach your child what you believe is right. As a mother, I always was so concerned about teaching my daughter, watch out for this, watch out for that. When I heard this happening with my son, as a mother, I actually felt like I missed something. I didn't expect to have to teach him. If a woman attacks you, I never thought to teach him that. I was always teaching my daughter how to be safe and to look out for dangerous men.
And what we want to teach people is how to identify if somebody has issues and problems that are going to get in the way of creating a healthy relationship. And one of the issues is that, the brain isn't finished for women until 24, for men until 26. So we have to make sure that we teach skills. We teach skills at every age.
Well, I cannot wait to have this discussion again because while we started off talking about gender and race wage inequality, as you can see, this is why I try to open up our possibilities on this show in terms of our conversations because guess what? It's not just about the money. It's about you. It's about you.
To say, Santita, poverty and acting out behavior or violent behavior are linked. They are linked. Look at any statistic. And when we have women struggling in the workplace, it was Winston Churchill who said the true measure of any civilization is the condition of the women in that civilization.
Oh, look, you just said it. I got a ticket giveaway and another commercial I've got to do, but you know what? I love you, Dr. Brenda Wade. I love you, Attorney C.K. Hoffler. I love you, Makiba Turner. And I love you, Maria Rodriguez, my wonderful panel, and Erin Connely, who had to go to get her son to school. See, there you go. She was doing a panel and getting her son to school. Oh, girl, I love you. Everybody call in right now to win 2 tickets to see it. Oh, look, I love you. Can't wait to have you back. Call in now to win 2 tickets to see An American in Paris. Oh, at the Drury Lane Theater in Oak Brook on Thursday, March 26th at 8 p.m. Escape to the City of Light. That's Paris, everybody, with Drury Lane Theater's production of An American in Paris now playing through March 29th. But these tickets, of course, are for March 26th at 8 p.m. Based on the Academy Award-winning movie, this enchanting musical features Gershwin's biggest hits, including I Got Rhythm, and they can't take that away from me. For more information or to buy tickets, call 630-530-0111 or visit drurylane.com. Contest running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the Greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 winner per household. Void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking on the contest tab. See what is it? February 13th. We're going to run that. All right, everybody. I love you. I love you. I love you. Meet me over here on Santita Jackson and Friends, and meet me tonight at 9:30's 50th Street. Doors are open as we talk about what happened in Iowa.
Hi,
Now, everybody, let's kick off the 2020 NBA
Oh, we got a
All-Star
lot.
Weekend
We got a
here in
lot today, did
Chicago
we not?
with Reverend Jesse Jackson,
We got a lot
NBA
today.
great Shaquille O'Neal,
Yes.
Judge Greg
Is
Mathis,
everybody here? They still
NBA
want
Hall
to
of
talk?
Famers
I guess so.
Isaiah Thomas
yeah.
and Dave Bing, and for all of you old schoolers out there, the human beatbox, Dougie Fresh, as we honor the life and works of Kobe Bryant. Meet us Thursday, February 13th, 2020.
Hey, everybody, stay right here. We're going to continue talking.
CEF and Dish Excel raise money for the Cool Kids Code Program. The Cool Kids Code Program. So in the spirit of scholar athlete, Kobe Bryant.
Wait a minute. She gets called the secretary and court reporter. Is this
excellence.
some insane
Tickets
stuff?
are on sale at
This is what she gets called, secretary and court reporter, when she goes to court today. They don't let her be the lawyer. Girl, Madam Secretary, I mean court reporter, would you give me these notes?
Ground Game is the latest podcast from the Associated Press.
Give me these notes, please. Okay. I just had to ask, about you. But I just saw this. I said, okay, there you go. Okay, all right. I didn't know they were St. John's, but I'm good with that.
Okay, now I'm going to bring him up.
I love you,
David.
We're going to do it. So, girl, do your thing, because I know you're on your way. And thank you, girl. Okay, bye-bye. Okay.
Mean brother.
Oh, we have Makiba still here with us? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Makiba.
Okay, we should turn that down. So, hey, everybody. Oh.
Okay.
Is everybody here? Okay, I can't hear you.
Go ahead.
Hey. Oh, well, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me get back over here, because I'm on something else now. Hold on, you guys. I'm already on my phone. Hey, this is Brother David Maine, and you've got Makiba, our all-star here today. Not that we don't love you guys.
I'm going to help him switch over there.
Not that we don't love you, but, Makiba is my wing woman today. So, now, Maine, you've been holding for a long time, sweetie. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, my thing is, what this all starts from, it goes back to the days of slavery and capitalism. See, capitalism needs a group of people in order to exploit. And since we've been exploited since the days of slavery, we as a people have not come out of that. There's like this understanding that we're always going to be like a second-class citizen, even though we may have our ball players, our athletes, and some politicians, and some entrepreneurs. But as a people, they have us as a people under economic slavery in order to exploit us, because without this exploitation, you can't have capitalism. And until we change capitalism, say like those northern European countries like Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, and stuff like that, where the people have equal access, equal rights as any and everybody else do, we're not going to see this change in America. And so long as they do not give reparations and an apology for the days of slavery, we're still going to have the problems that we're having as far as equality in the workplace or anywhere else, because this country has this thing about it that the white man or the white capitalist or oligarch is the one who's running this. In other words, it's we, the corporation, in order to make more profit, exploit the downtrodden and the blacks and the browns here in America, instead of we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union. This is how they see this country, and until we get rid of this capitalistic type of ideology or philosophy, we're going to always have some group of people who are going to be exploited.
Well, I hear you. I just think that all systems and no system has gotten it right completely, right? Sexism is just it is in the bone marrow of humanity. It is, because I'm sure that there were some dynamic women leading these revolutions in communist and socialist countries, but you don't hear about them either. Like we don't hear about them here, because sexism is very, 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 very real. And I think we have to look at that as exploitation is very real in all of these systems. That's why, what do they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You got to be very careful with power because it can be abused. My father said, be careful with power because you might have to use it, and if you use it, you might abuse it, and if you abuse it, you will lose it. So, let me run to you very quickly. Makiba, you just made a sound. Well, hold on, Maine. I wanted Makiba because I heard her saying something.
Right, go ahead.
What the statement you said your father made, I would hear things like that from my family growing up. And as a child, I kept thinking, yes, but by the time I reach this age, surely things will be better. And I have told my children, only because they asked, they said, Mom, well, are things different? Are they better when you were a child? I said, I can think back when my grandparents told stories their parents told, and then they told their stories, and then my parents. I said, unfortunately, I really feel like not much has changed. I know it may look like it. We do, okay, Jay-Z, he's a millionaire. I'm happy for him. That's wonderful. There are plenty of people, our people of color. There are plenty of people that have made a lot of moves and successes.
But Makiba, hold on. Is it just about someone becoming a billionaire? I don't think that's what the struggle is about, right? I mean, I don't think the American dream should be everyone should be a millionaire. Everyone and I certainly don't measure black success by someone becoming billionaire, president of a corporation, or even the United States. I look at collective. How are we doing collectively? Because people have always picked off one person or the other. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. I'm saying to my children,
that was for him.
Because of the way the news, you can get all of this news today. You turn on, you see things happening everywhere. I said it may feel to you like it's so many of us that are succeeding. I said, but until all of us, you can't just look at 1, 2, 10, 20, 1,000. You have to look at what are you doing? What about your cousin? What about your friend? What about your neighbor? It's not much different. And it's sad to feel that way. I want to be wrong, but I really don't see that things have changed that much for the majority.
But you know what? Things had changed. Things had changed. We were making a lot of advancements. But the thing is, look, struggle is constant.
Mm-hmm.
It's constant,
mm-hmm.
and you cannot just because I saw a lot of us step back when we got a black man in the presidency. A lot of us stepped back and we said, "Oh, I don't need to do anything anymore." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? That's just him. His wife, and his kids are going to be fine. You're not even asking him to." Yeah.
Did you seem like it was a feeling of, "Oh, we finally arrived. Oh, thank God we're here"?
But I and see, and so, well, hold on, Maine. Were you? Well, I mean, everybody can jump in, but just one at a time, of course. Were you about now, Maine? Because I want to get other people in, and Maria, I see, is back.
This is brother from downstate.
Brother, where are you from?
Downstate, Illinois.
Where in downstate?
Champaign.
Okay, fantastic. Hey, brother, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I live there too.
You all are on my mind because you're talking about at this point in our development, if you can call it that way. Don't forget what the brother said now. That which has been shall be. That which was has been. There is nothing new under the sun. Now, the topic is it's one of the most important topics of our time, period. The challenge upon us is, do we go back far enough in our evaluation of where we are
to really get to the core of the matter. And it stems from the Garden of Eden. It doesn't stem from politics. And the challenge we have looked at overshadows our mind. There used to be a program on the radio called The Shadow. And all he did was go to the criminals and deal with their mind. One thing we don't have, I heard you say earlier, was God is a man. God is not a man.
Oh, we did not say that. No, we did no, brother. We did not say that. We challenged that idea. That is not what we said. We said that God is not. You know, and I'll give it to you this way. My mother said you cannot assign genitalia to God. God is not about male genitalia or female genitalia. No, hold on, brother, hold on, because I want to correct. Because if we're going to go forward, this is not a fact-free zone. It's, you know, we deal in fact, and that is not what people said. In fact, Dr. Wade said, she said you should get the book When God Was a Woman, because she is challenging our idea of patriarchy as it relates to one moment, brother, hold on. She was challenging our notion of patriarchy as it relates to religion. Okay, now you continue, because I've got to bring on David and Maria.
Spirit talks to all of us. Black, white, red, green, yellow, and it says God is a spirit. You must worship him in spirit and in truth. But he gave us the understanding of how to rule the earth. And we gave that away. We gave it away.
You're right. Now, that having been said, now, brother, because I need to get this back on track here. Because we started off talking about the gender wage gap, the race wage gap, and where it intersects, okay? Because white women make 79 cents to the dollar that the white man makes. Black women make 61 cents. Native American women make 58 cents. And Hispanic women make 53 cents. We're talking about, I want us to stay right there, because I hear you. Hold on. I want us to stay. I understand our issues go back to the Garden of Eden, metaphorically and actually. I got it. That having been said, in 2020. No, it doesn't change. You're right. It doesn't change in 2020. But you know what it does do? We've got to have you're not going to change anything overnight, because these problems didn't happen overnight. But hold on, David. Why don't you, Maria, why don't you respond?
Hi, good morning again. You know what? All we're simply trying to say is that men and women are equal. Yes, we are made differently, and yes, the Bible makes references that make one believe that one is lesser than the other, when in fact, that was not how Jesus Christ treated the women that he met in his life.
That's right.
He treated them as equally as the men. And so what we need to remember is, yes, we're different in physiology and so on, but we're equal. We're human beings. We're God's children. And I don't think God wanted us to treat each other disrespectfully or less than the other, because we must love each other as far as I'm concerned.
Amen to that. David, what's on your mind? Oh, we can hear you. I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've been listening online and wanting to get in on the show here. I'm still having trouble getting the radio station in. Even now, running at full power. But anyway, you know what I think? Two things here. On the subject matter of wages, I believe we should start the minimum wage at $25 an hour, retroactively. And that includes whether you work at McDonald's, Burger King, whether you're the guy at the gas station doing service work or anything like that. $25 an hour starting on up. And I think Walmart should be doing that as well. These corporations are big. They can afford to do it. They got oodles of money, these corporations. Now, secondly, on the on relationships, with between men and women, domestic violence, and all that. The man is the abuser. The man is the abuser, and he always gets off. In my opinion, he always gets off. He always gets released from prison or jail to murder again. There was this incident in Indiana where that happened. I believe a 56-year-old man shot his girlfriend some time back. She was 55 years old. He was let off scot-free, only to go and finish the job. He shot and killed her. These men are evil. I mean, they're evil, evil.
Well, even, and I hear you, but even with evil, this is what we've got, and we've got to work it out. We've got to work it out. We've got to figure out a way to, I would say, Makiba and Maria and everybody on the panel here, how to make this gender and race and gender wage gap. We've got to make it an issue in 2020. Well, it's not just white guys. Let me tell you something. You've got some black guys who are tyrants too. You really do. I'm talking about, and the thing is, whiteness is not a crime. It's the thinking of superiority that's criminal. Well, in the rap music, when we owned it, it was not vulgar music. It was not mean music. When they turned it in, when they mainstreamed it and made it entertainment for white children, they made it misogynistic and violent. When it was black owned, everything that black people owned, we used for our uplift, because that is what we needed. That is why you had Ebony and Jet magazine, and there were certain things that John Johnson had a worldview. He said, I want black people to know how great they are. Al Bell, when he had Stax Records, that's what he wanted us to know. When you had Motown Records, that's what Berry Gordy and his family wanted you to know. Everybody they put out there made us feel proud. And they not only lifted black people, they lifted all of America. They made America proud. So we have got to, I think what we have to do, you have to start looking at people on a case-by-case basis. Because just because someone is black doesn't make them progressive and right. Just because someone is white doesn't make them regressive and mean and an imperialist. Because you have black imperialists too.
Can be considered, because that's not how the Father made us. In the beginning, we were made the same way. In 2020, we were made the same.
And you're right, we're made the same way, but we don't behave the same way. I mean, brother, I hear you, but this is but let me tell you something. I hear you. In 2020, you know what my producer needs? She needs $350 so she can stay in the hospital and get some more tests. So all that is, I hear you, but right now I've got some people who are begging for my vote. Right now I've got the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, whose campaign will crash if I do not vote for him, and that is black people. You got someone who wait a minute, you have someone who was anti-busing, who has not explained that, but if I don't vote for him, he has no chance of becoming president. Now wait a minute, I got to deal with the fact that I got to deal with that. I got to deal with the fact that rent does not cost less for me. Milk does not cost less for me. So I want everything that you say needs to be arched and arched in that direction. That's what this conversation is about. Period. And you know what? And that is what Dr. King did. And that is what our great leaders have all been. Number one, they have been spiritual leaders. And I think God has done that on purpose, because we are a spiritual people, and you need to have a different level. You need to have God in this conversation. I'm with you, brother. Now, you know what? Jesus was not killed. Jesus did not die. Jesus was killed by the state. The crucifixion was a political killing, because he was charged by the state with stirring up the people to impose an imperial power, which was Rome, who were overtaxing them, overworking them, and underpaying them. So now I want us to take up the spirit of Jesus. I don't care what your religion is, and get women paid. I want you to look at the fact that we've got trillion-dollar student loan debt. I want you to look at the fact that the University of Chicago is about to be $100,000 a year, not for graduate school, but for undergraduate, which means most Americans, 99% of Americans, will not be able to afford to go to one of the most prestigious universities in the world that's on this soil because they cannot afford it. Parent Plus loans, which were instituted in 2009. 2009. You have to have perfect credit because of that new policy. Most folks do not have perfect credit. I'm first in the line. So wait a minute. So you know what? No, wait. If we're not talking about how to make this deal with this in terms of policy, you're in the wrong conversation.
Part of the culture of this, what we call the United States.
Why?
Not involve them.
We should involve women, but I don't think it should be women only, because I know some women who, I mean, there's some, brother, some of everybody does not think right, okay? All women don't get it. All men, I mean, and some men do get it. So, Maria, why don't you jump in? Maria, please.
You know, it takes both men and women to make changes in this world, to improve our society, to improve the equality among us. It takes both sides. And yes, women are coming out. I think we can thank Trump for that. And being able to have their voice heard, and have other people hear them, listen to them. Because we can hear, but we're not listening. And so we need to have our voice listened, and it just make it so that we can live in equality.
What, Makiba?
Equality won't come until you change this capitalistic system and have it more equal.
Okay.
You're not going to have it because these people are looking only for profit. Look at the president himself. You know, look, we got the worst president in history.
Well, wait a minute. Who said? Now, what about Andrew Jackson, the Indian killer? Wait. I mean, I think that I'm just saying I think we need to be very careful because we should not be led by the mainstream media, who are making oodles and buckets of money off of the demonization of one human being without looking at a system which has behaved sometimes in a wicked way. This is not the first time we have seen someone who has given us racist thoughts and who has marketed himself in a racist way. He's not the first. So we need to stop that. Stop it. You had a president in our country who was known as an Indian killer. That is genocide. Are you kidding me? And then, wait a minute, and then right behind Lincoln, you had presidents who took our rights away. So wait a minute, President Trump is just a human being, and you know what? If you vote, you can vote him out. It is that simple. We need to stop playing these games, and we need to stop being played. And because most of the people who I know who hate him, certainly some of the people I know in some of these political types and folks who get invited to these events, they are one invitation away from liking him. They'll get to the White House and say, I like him, and I've met him several times. He's actually a very personable guy. But I separate out how I feel about you personally and what I've seen of you personally from your policies. And we have to start looking at people and their policies. And even the people we like. If their policies are policies you do not like, you must fight them on them. Right?
With that, because I like Bernie Sanders, because of his policies, I have a formula, it's called money over people or people over money.
Okay.
Now, to me, Biden is money over people because he talks for the corporations and stuff first, and big business and stuff like that. Whereas Bernie Sanders talks for the people first. He talks how He wants to have free education, health care, and things like that. So you have those differences, you know, like you say, right here in our own party. But yet they seem to want to persuade black people to go with Biden because of Obama. But yet, to me, Biden is still a corporate Democrat. I'd rather go with Bernie Sanders because he's people over money. He wants to do for the people first, and that's all people. I'm not just talking about just black people. All people. I mean, you get free education. That's going to be free education from coast to coast, border to border. You get free health care. That's going to be coast to coast and border to border. To me, they told about any Democrat. No, we have to pick up a particular Democrat to be president because if we just have any Democrat, then getting a person like Biden to me is not too much.
And waiting for the answer, and the answer is, in order to have that kind of intelligence, you're going to have to receive it from above. From above, it cannot come from man. So we have to change the way we make this observation in order to get to that answer.
Well, he's right about that, but you know what we need to do? Now, Bernie Sanders would be my man, preferably, but if whoever gets in, whether it's Mr. Buttigieg or Mr. Biden, we need to vote blue no matter who. Get Donald Trump out of office. One other thing I want to say, too, about Donald.
Okay, but you get him out, but what are you going to get in? Because, see, not blue. To me, it's, I have to tell you, blue no matter who, I don't know about that. I think that what you need to do right now is push these candidates on what it is that we need. See, because you can mess around, because Democrats and Republicans oftentimes look very, very much alike. Because many of them do not support Medicare for all. Biden and Buttigieg do not support Medicare for all. That's a problem for me. I've got a great private insurance plan, and guess what? I just got some bill for like $600. I'm like, where did this come from? Because I took a test. I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to figure out, and then I got a couple more that just happened over the past couple of days. Now, that for me is kind of crazy, particularly when I travel overseas. And I know that if I am hospitalized overseas in most of these countries all around the world, I'm not going to get a bill. First thing they want to know, I remember I had to sing, oh my goodness, I was in Italy, can't remember, Bologna. And I got over there like 3 or 4 days before the concert that where I was to perform. And it was very exciting because, wait a minute, you all, Andrea Bocelli invited me over there to be part of his festival. He'd heard me sing at an event. So I was understandably excited, but I had a little tickle in my throat when I got on the plane. It might have been nerves. But by the time, the night before the concert, my voice was, I had complete laryngitis because I had a virus. So, of course, these people fly you thousands of miles, and believe me, I've been a professional singer, so I understand they are not hearing you being sick after they've made all these preparations for you to come. So they called the doctor in, and what they don't give you, you have to take the shot. You take the steroid, not orally. They give you a shot. And so in 8 hours, my voice was completely restored, but it meant that I couldn't say anything for the next week. That's how Miles Davis lost his voice. He had surgery. They told him not to speak. He got angry with someone, screamed, and it completely ruined his voice or damaged it. So I understood that. That was fine. But I went to my purse to get out my checkbook so that I could pay the doctor, and he looked at me like I was crazy. Now, mind you, because I'm a grown woman now. So, when I was younger, my parents took care of all of these things. But I'm a grown woman, and he said, oh, no. And it wasn't because I was there to sing. It was, I'm a doctor. They called me, you needed help, and so this is what I do. This was in 2002, 2001, 2002. So I'm just saying to you, the kind of system that we have going here is designed to bankrupt you, and it is not designed to get you well. So I don't care whether they're Republican or Democrat. You need to answer that question for me, and I need to be satisfied with your answer. You can't just tell me, ooh, I'm a black woman, okay? My family survived slavery. You cannot frighten me. I've taken the worst that America can throw at anybody, and my family survived it. So I'm done with that. You can't frighten me with Donald Trump or anybody. I mean, are you kidding me? A black person gets scared in America with all that we've absorbed? What? You sound like a nut. So you can't come to me and tell me that he's the most horrible thing. No, he's not. And when you get up on him, guess what? I will say it. He's a nice guy. But do I like do I like what he has done? The way he has chosen to market himself? Absolutely not. But you know what? I saw Bill Clinton, who I like, of whom I am personally quite fond. I saw him go and execute a black man who had who was developmentally a child. No. He chose to do that. Ricky Ray Rector, and he stood in front of a bunch of black prisoners, because he was sending a signal with Sam Nunn, with two right-wing Democratic senators, because he was sending a signal. All of these guys, Republican and Democrat, have played a lot of games. I mean, my goodness, President Obama took out Gaddafi. That was horrible. That was a horrible thing to do. It destabilized all of Africa, the whole continent, because he was the strongest leader there. He even called the president of South Africa and asked him to vote to send in the troops on Libya. And after Zuma did it, because he got a brother-to-brother call, Zuma flew to Libya and apologized to Gaddafi because he knew that he'd signed his death warrant. Look, I was the maid of honor in their wedding. I'm over that. And I put my personal feelings for you aside from your politics. You've got to do that. So all of this talk about Donald Trump being the worse than someone who called himself proudly the Indian killer, no, that's genocide. We had a president who did that too.
Yes. Things like, you say you actually met somebody on the reservation?
Yeah, many times, honey. There's so many of these people I've met. Yeah, and you know what? And he was a nice guy. He was very pleasant, and my interaction with him was limited. I met some of everybody. Roger Ailes hired me to work at Fox News, and he did not ask me to change my politics. He said, as a matter of fact, you're very likable. And guess who he was very close to? Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow used to walk across the street, because MSNBC is across the street, which he started, by the way, and CNBC. She used to walk across the street and get career advice from Roger. Because he was that kind of guy. Because if he liked you, he liked you. And he was into TV and communications. And if he felt you were a great communicator, he said to me, I think you got a great future in this business. I don't think you need to be just behind the mic. I think you need to be on TV. I think people need to see you. People will like you. I like you. And he said, even though I don't agree with all your politics, I also think that you are a decent person. And so that makes you a winner in my book. I can respect that. So I don't know. So I'm just saying to you, all this, I hate this. Look, I've seen more people who have said that they could not stand somebody, and then when they got a nice wink and a nod from that person, they fell in love. Come on now. Wait a minute, Makiba and Maria, I'm talking to the ladies right now. You can say about your man or whoever you're partnered with, I can't stand them, they get on my nerves, and then you are a phone call or a sweet talk away from loving them again. Is that not true? Okay. Wait a minute. Maria's just laughing. Y'all know it's true. And guess what? Brother and David and Maine know it too. Come on. Now I just heard.
Well, I'm not doubting it, but I would like to get more on the political thing here. Like when Clinton first got in office, his first term, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks, one of the first things he said was, blacks could not get reparations for the days of slavery. Now that right there meant and then this turned me off. I guess he said it early in his in his term, so that by the second term we done forgot about it, which most people did.
Well, also remember, but
I would call it in. I'd say, y'all remember, this man said he do not think that blacks should get reparations.
But hold on, let me say this to you. Hold on, because some of this is black folks' fault, because we embraced him as the first black president. And because he looked like he liked us, and he does, he's very comfortable with black people. He's a Southern guy. And he's also from a particular background, so he's very, black people, he's very comfortable, and he brought a lot of black folks to the White House with him, to be fair. That having been said, black leadership started having a problem because black folks found a white guy they liked. Because it's part of our issues too. When we talked about 3 strikes, you're out, and we said, no, 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 don't do that. Black folks turned to Reverend Jackson and looked at him like he was crazy. We like him. You need to shut up, Jesse. Oh, NAFTA. Reverend and some other leaders said, no, no, this is not going to be good for us, including Ross Perot, giant sucking sound that's going to take the jobs away. Black folks told black leaders who opposed that to shut up and sit down because I like this guy. So now, hold on. Either we're going to hold the line and make some sense about what it is that we want and need. You know, you can't just look at him. Politicians respond to political pressure, period. That's it, that's all. This is not, I told you, this is not a date, it's a destination. This ain't about love. And I like you and I think you're cute. No, that's not what politics is about. Managing resources. That's all it is. That's why whoever is in office, don't demonize them, analyze them. No, analyze them. Just find out who they are and let's go. But I'm gonna get some closing thoughts from everybody on the panel. And I'm going to start with you, brother. You got a minute, and I'm going to have everybody on the clock. I love you. So stay right here. Hold on, brother. Now you go. Your closing thought.
So you're getting back to what the discussion, the question in the discussion is. How can you make an intelligent decision based on the circumstances that you're under? And I'm saying you cannot get it from earth. You have to get that from heaven and then make the application to the earth.
Okay, that's good. Amen. Although that was not the question, I certainly agree with the sentiment. Let me go to you, David.
Well, I have a question, if I could, for the panel.
No, David, we're good closing thoughts.
All right. I'll just give it in a closing thought then. I think it was wrong for Bill Clinton to bow to Republicans to get rid of, well, as he called it, welfare as we know it. I think that was very wrong.
But wait a minute, stop. I'm going to let you finish. He didn't bow to Republicans. He was from the right wing of the Democratic Party. This was the right wing. This was the DLC position on welfare. No. So don't put this on Republicans. Put this on some right-wing Democrats. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. All right. The DLC
corporate Democrat.
But your closing thought, David?
Okay, I understand the DLC. It had to do with the DLC, and I know what that's about. I understand what that's about. So, all right, I got it. I got it.
Okay, that's good. I'm just saying, let's just keep it 100. Maine, your closing thought?
Yeah, I feel that we as a people here in America need to change the system and not have a for-profit capitalist system and have a more people-profit system. I have good examples in my own family. I have an engineer. Now, you would think that being an engineer is outstanding, but he could have been an astrophysicist, but because of the money, he couldn't make it. I got 2 nurse practitioners, but they could have been doctors if they had free education. So even though some of us may make it or seem like we've grown to our pinnacle, the athlete and those in politics may reach a pinnacle and that's it. But as a people, we still are trying to move forward, still trying to come out of this economic slavery that we've been under since the days of slavery.
Marie, Maria.
Well, I have to say I've enjoyed listening to all the comments here, and the one thing is key is that we listen to each other and in respect. And I agree that Trump is, not this evil person, but I do not support his policies and whatever. But he has been a trigger for women to stand up and move forward our policies, to address our needs. So in that respect, that's what I meant earlier, that he's responsible because he was the trigger. And he's also the one that's, he represents many people. And it's been a systemic issue for many, many, many years and decades and so on. So I think we as a people need to open our hearts and our minds and listen. And be able to respect each other's opinion and be able to work with each other to accomplish. We may not get everything we want, but we can meet a common ground and get more achieved from being able to work with each other than being opposing forces. What is it, a pie in the sky kind of attitude? I have been accused of being a Pollyanna, I admit.
No, but you know what? Hold on. This is what we've just been talking about for the past 2 hours. Don't say something affirmatively and then pull it back. You said it, you stand on it, and be done with it.
Yeah.
Your opinion matters, and your worldview. And you're not Pollyanna. You just choose to accentuate the negative and eliminate the positive. Stand on it, say it, and keep it moving. And if someone disagrees, they disagree, and that is their opinion.
Exactly. And I'm glad you called me on that, Santita.
In love, because I've done that too. And just know that I've done it in love, because I've done it too. I've done it too. And I'm not going to sabotage myself and undo myself again. I mean, it's like, if that's what I believe, it's what I believe. It's it.
Amen. Yeah. That's right. Amen.
Amen. Makiba, what's on your mind, girl?
I really agree with what you just said. I agree with what Maria said. I've taught my girls and other women that I've spoken to, when you say something, believe what you say. If you believe it, you stand by it. And I'm not criticizing at all. I love what Maria said. But with the gender and the race gap and pay gap, I just thank God that we're talking about it. I thank you for speaking about it. It has to be acknowledged. You can't change something you don't acknowledge. That's the first step. We have to start there. And I also agree. You can't blame one particular person or group or whatever. We all need to listen. We need to hear what the other person has to say. Sometimes, like the young lady earlier, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but she was saying she was in a position basically of authority or management or something, and she didn't understand at first when a woman of color may call in and say, I can't come in because I have a flat tire. Someone else may think, well, just change your tire.
Well, but no, she said she did. Well, hold on, Makiba. She said, I began to see other women's life stories and circumstances very differently because I saw the kind of pressure that these women were under, right?
Understand. But then as she began to observe, she began to see, she had apathy. She was able to understand. She didn't at first. And I love that she took time to look and say, oh, she saw there was an issue and she began to understand what was happening. And that's what I'm saying about listening to other people. You can't just say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Just do this. You don't know what's going on. Pay attention. It may not be a simple fix like you think. That person's life may have something going on, such as this pay difference. That maybe if we were all paid the same, maybe they could fix that tire and come in. But when you're not paid the same, you may not be able to do that today. So I just love that you're having this program. I love we're having this discussion. I hope this is just one of many that you're going to have.
Oh, don't worry. This is the beginning. This is the beginning, and this is why I want to thank all of you for calling in and for staying with the show a little while longer, brother, for your really trying to move us back into the spiritual realm. I thank you for that, David. I thank you for holding on and holding out. Maine, I thank you for your fire. Uh, Maria, right on, my brother. But I was speaking to you, Maine. and and Maria, thank you for being the fabulous one that you are, and for being fierce. And thank you, Makiba, for being fierce and for being on point. Because really, that's the point. I really just want us to have a platform here where people can be heard, and where the voiceless have a voice. Because that's really the point.
Allow me to be a part of it. Thank you very much. Your program is wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and you all make it wonderful because you were at the panel today. How about that? Well, you all. Well, it is your platform, and so tell people about it, and please have them go to YouTube, to the Santita Jackson Show, and have them like and subscribe, because the sooner I get more subscribers, the quicker I can get some sponsorship, which is I need. And then go to the Santita Jackson and Friends page over on Facebook, and please like and share there. And if you can't get to 930 East 50th Street tonight, doors open at 6, we're going to be talking about these Iowa caucuses just as we're about to go into New Hampshire. That's a big, big deal. And because we're going to look at what happened in Iowa. Why is it that you had this app called Shadow from the acronym company that the Democratic National Committee wanted to keep a secret? And then they didn't test it statewide, and you have a big mess. But now Pete Buttigieg is considered to be almost a co-front runner with Bernie.
They don't want Bernie Sanders to be the candidate for president of the United States.
Well, you know what? Right. But see, they didn't want Jesse Jackson either. Not just because he was black. Because you see that a black person can be acceptable. Well, that's right. When you are a populist, you have a problem. Because Reverend didn't just smash the phenotypic or the skin color barrier. He smashed the philosophical barrier. He ran as an unrepentant progressive. And if those are your politics, whatever they are, stay right there on them. Stay right there. But I love you all. I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to go.
God bless you too. God bless you, Santita.
Now everybody say you love you to each other. I love you.
I love you all. Yeah.
Say I love you to Lady B and to Cortez. Say hello. Say I love you.
Hi, I love you all too. I love you all.
Wait a minute.
And congratulating each other. That's how it's supposed to work.
That's right. A little loving goes a long way. That's right. How about that? I love you all. Will you join me tonight at 6 o'clock? Come on, join me tomorrow. Join me tonight at 6. Bless your heart. Well, you can join us on Facebook tonight. You can join. You're in Atlanta tonight at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. We will be on Facebook, and we're going to break down what happened in these Iowa caucuses.
And also on YouTube.
Okay, and it's also on YouTube on the Santita Jackson Show. So you can go to YouTube, the Santita Jackson Show, and you can go to Facebook, the Santita Jackson and Friends page. Okay. And for those of you in Chicago, come to 930 East 50th Street. We have bring your own beverages. Do we know we have some nice little munchies? We really do.
Yes.
And we have a good time. Plus, my mother comes and she really gets everybody riled up. So, no, my mother's not. Oh, my mother's like, I love you all, everybody.
Good bargain to your whole family. God bless you all.
They are a lot, and I love them. That's right. She was the flamenca for Halloween, and my mother was a nun. Oh my gosh. Oh, I said, now Lorraine was a flapper, she was a flamenca, and my mother was a nun. And you remember, you weren't there. Mrs. Dobbins was, I think she was a bee. She literally came in one of those outfits. Oh, look. Oh, yeah. Oh, my Lord. My Lord. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully I'll see you tonight, okay?